Hey, dummies. Whew. Been a week. Has. Had a buddy come in from out of town. And we partied. Hung out. It was a lot of fun. Basically went down to, and what I've been trying to do is find a place where someone else feels comfortable and explore their zone. See what other people's lives consist of. If you can find a place where people are comfortable, you can usually find yourself in a little more intimate of situations, not necessarily romantically, but on a person to person level. And so we went down to this little bar that's basically attached to a place where you can dock your boats, whatever that's called. And it was another friend's birthday of ours, and we were hanging out down there. I invited a few other friends, and we went down there, and it was a good time. There was, like I said, a birthday going on, so I brought a little, you know what I'm saying, a J. And we went out back and we smacked it. We smoked it on the porch, and we were having a good time hanging out, smoking a J. And it's some good stuff. It's not the most powerful, but by no means weak. And just hanging out, and all of a sudden this old timer kind of comes out. He's not old. He's probably 40 or 50, and he starts taking a puff on it, for sure, you hit it, homie, whatever. And so we're just all talking out here. I finished it down all the way to the end. I'm like, I go till it burns my fingers, and then you flick it, And so we go inside. Now my buddies come. So we're at one friend's birthday party, and then we invite some of my other buddies out to come hang out. And so then my other buddies come. So this guy that was just there, the old timer that had come out, kind of hit the button a little bit, he's now staring off in the corner, with a frown on his face, just staring, and with a face that looks unpleasurable. But every time you say hi to him, it's kind of like the sloth off of Zootopia, where it's like how right before he starts smiling he looks distressed, but always somewhere in between smiling and distressed, he's you can tell he's hitting zero gravity here real soon, you know what I'm saying? And so we sit there hanging out, and all of a sudden from behind me I hear a whoa, probably even longer than that, probably 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. And I was like, what in the fuck? So we turn around, and it's the old timer. We let it hit the fucking J. Oh, god damn it. We did bad, boys. And so my buddy's like, oh, alright, dude. And they're trying not to laugh. They're trying to keep it down or whatever, and just keep going. And so we're just trying to pretend that didn't happen, And so we're just talking one on one, and he does it again. Woo! Just the whole time over us talking. We're trying to talk, and he's doing it louder. What in the fuck? And so my buddies come out, and then we're all smoking cigarettes outside, because that's what's fun to do when you're drinking, We all had some shots or whatever. And my one buddy goes, hey, what's up? Is that guy the autistic guy? What happened? What's going on with him? I was like, no, that's a normal man under the influence of marijuana. Unfortunately, we did that. But so he was just in there fucking lit. Another guy, though, probably maybe a little older, maybe just aged a little better. Another old timer came out, and we were all smoking cigarettes. So basically, there's this hut where you all sit, and it's actually the coolest garbage shit you can find, because it's just a place where we know you're gonna be smoking cigarettes, and we know you want to smoke them inside, even when you're outside. So they put a little hut where you have heaters and stuff. It keeps you warm. It's actually kind of nice. And so you go in there, and you smell like cigarettes for the rest of your life if you go in there. But you can go in there and you can smoke. It's actually warm. So we go in there, and you can't smoke the Jane in there. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit disrespectful. And so we're in there smoking cigarettes, and my one buddy's just rattling off, just whatever, just talking. We're having a good time. But we have one of the guys who's obviously a regular here. I've seen him around the town that we live in and stuff. And he's talking to me. And he starts telling me a story. And, like, he just starts getting really excited. It was weird, but so we start talking about Mary Jane. And he starts explaining how his buddy was in the military when he was young, and he would press hash very, very flat and lay it like a sheet of paper in an envelope and then send it to him so that they could smoke hash. And they just cut a little piece off with a knife. They'd put it on like a tip in like some sort of like I think it was a coaster or something, but they'd put it on the tip of a pin in there, light on fire, and you'd move it around and circulate that air so that like the oxygen would like get eaten up, burn all the other stuff in there, and like release the good shit. And you open up the glass and inhale it off the side of the table, whatever. But so he's telling me this, and he's like, my buddy used to mail us this from here. This is what it was called. He'd tell me all kinds of old strayed names that old motherfuckers probably made up for him, just the same way they make them up for me. And he's talking about smoking. He's calling it the pheasant under glass, and he's just laughing his ass off. And he just sits there for a second afterwards, and we're talking there, and we're having a genuinely like good conversation. He's laughing his ass off, remembering something that it seems like he almost hadn't remembered in forever. Whenever he's like, oh, and he started telling me about it, and he just looks at me, and he goes, like, after telling me all this stuff about his friend and the hash, calling it pheasant under glass, how to smoke it and everything, he looks at me and he goes, thank you. And and like, I didn't know what to say. I'm just here to listen. Like, I'm just having a good time. So it's like, thank you. It was nice to talk to you, brother. And so he headed back in. But it was just so cool to see, like, that man, something that he valued from that interaction was getting somebody else to stir him up enough that he could tell that. Not that he would just remember, but that he could share that with somebody who would also enjoy it. It's interesting to see those things. That's something that only comes with time, is appreciating a single person's attention. The younger you are, the more you just want every single person's attention. It doesn't matter. You want just every single person. But the older you get, the more you just need one fucking person to listen. Because that's all you need. It's just one person to remind you that even if you're crazy, you got somebody there with you. You're not alone. That's what we're looking for. Signs that we're not alone. But I think about that a lot. And so like whenever I'm with older people, I try to think a little bit more about like, all right, what can I get them to show me from their past? And I try to focus on that. The older people are, the more I try to listen, and just see what I can get from them. Because I'm probably not going to share a whole lot of new things with them. It is fun to share stuff with people and then kind of get something kind of stirred up in them, get them riled up, be like, oh, well, this happened, at another time. So there was obviously some characters at this bar, as there is at every local hole-in-the-wall bar. And as you go around, as you do in every good story and fable almost, a shady character walks in, So we're sitting there having a good time, just talking, and no more old guys, just kind of like my group that we're hanging out with. And a guy comes in, and he looks at us and goes, you guys like to party? And I was like, oh, God damn it, here's the devil. Here he is. So he comes in asking if we like to party. These tempting questions and things, the ominous sniffs, And I'm like, huh. And so he introduces himself. And I realized that this is a man that I've now met probably 4 or 5 times and shook his hand. And where we've met each other, said our names, shook each other's hands, and then just went out and found each other again. In my defense, he looks different every time, and I don't change much in my look, but whatever. Like one time I saw him wearing a cowboy hat. Okay, if you have a look with and without a cowboy hat, you're already more varied than most people. Okay, but so this man, I was like, where have I seen you before? That's right. I remember we were out underneath some sort of bridge, basically. There's an overpass, and we were under the overpass with chairs. For some reason, there were chairs in a circle under this overpass. I doubt it was homeless people. I think it was like by some bars and restaurants. It was basically between two bars. There's an overpass you walk by. And so we were over on the side where like you couldn't really see under or whatever. And I believe people were doing snortables. I could be wrong about that, but I believe people were doing snortables. And just hanging out. You know, just doing some fun bro shit. And at one point, this the man who is now introducing himself again for the 4th or 5th time had decided that this four-legged chair had wronged him. And he ran up on this chair, bro, and gave it the motherfucking people's elbow. Okay, and like it hit him in the ribs and shit. Like it fucked him up. It fucked him up so bad. So he picked it up and he threw it on the ground. I was like, ah! Started like beating his chest. And so my buddy looks at me and he goes, "Hey man, his baby mama's calling and he's gotta get home." No. I'm gonna tell you what no. It's best for everyone right now if he just starts a new life somewhere else. Cause he just gave the people's elbow to an inanimate object with anger. He's not figuring this one out. Just try not to do it again, bud. Give him a pass. You know, let that boy go. I'll tell you what. Let me just tell her that she already needs to find a stepfather and she can get ahead of it 7 months in the game. You know? Then by the time homeboy's out, she's already got a nice guy. Because this man just took his anger out on a dining set. You understand? This isn't. What are we gonna do here with this man? But I saw him there and he introduced himself again, as I'm sure he will. He does seem to be some sort of recurring character that can only be a fable. Like, to introduce yourself so many times and not remember. Like, maybe one time we will, but probably not. It's funny though that people, and I've talked about this before, the career alcoholics you meet, but some people just get so goddamn fucked up whenever you're drinking. Just get so lit. There was one girl that, like, I was literally, so I would usually take a blunt or two with me whenever I'd go to the bar. I just liked a good blunt. And so I had a blunt with me or whatever. We're outside the bar. It's a little bit cold and I'm just sitting there smoking. And, like, if anyone wanted to hit, you could take a hit, whatever. I didn't give a shit. I wasn't stingy with the weed. So it wasn't very good weed, you know what I'm saying? So I was passing it to people or whatever. And so she comes over and I'm smoking and she starts talking to me. And she starts pointing at this guy who's got 2 women with him who seem to be well acquainted, or at least good enough to be like, "Hey, what's up, guy?" You know, that they know by name. And so she starts yelling, "That guy tried to get me to go to his car and suck his dick." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "He tried to get me to suck his dick in his car." And so now this dude's like looking at me like, "Get your girl." And I'm like, I look at him and I'm audibly like, "I don't know her." And she's like, "He's a piece of shit. Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy." And I'm like, "Sir, I don't." And these girls are like, "You need to get your friend." And I'm like, "I don't know her. I'm not doing this." And they're like, she's like, "You're gonna regret this." And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, stop. Don't tell them what they're gonna regret." It's just crazy the people you can see. This is all in the same vicinity. Like, there's certain, I don't know if there's certain bars. I didn't like drink long enough to like go to another one, but like I wonder if there's just certain areas. Like if I mapped out that bar, we could just see like blood stains in certain corners, like statistically. Oh, God. Don't do drugs. There's been some things I've been thinking about recently. One of them being the event of a draft. What I would do, what would happen. One, I would leave immediately. I've known this since I was young. I remember being pretty young and they were telling me about history and about how people had to get drafted and go as young men in order to fight wherever, and I was like, psh, immediately, I can't do it, bud. I'm out. I remember being like 9 and I'm like, I would probably break my own leg. I remember preparing myself mentally, be like, when you're about 14, God's gonna call you to serve your country. and you're gonna have to bust a few feet bones just to make sure. Just to make sure he ain't calling you real strongly. Just to make sure it's just a dinner. Okay. You know? You don't want to be... But I remember being like young and saying, no, we're breaking bones. Like, we could do it. I didn't even think about the ones where it's like the buddies. It's like, break my arm, break your arm. That's one that always seems stupid to me. You know? Where you're like... Alright, we both broke our arm at the same time playing football. It's like, yeah, fucking, that's it. You're artillery, you know? They throw you up. No. You're, I don't know. I don't know enough about the military. Guess what? That's why I talk shit about it. I don't know shit about it. It's easy. But yeah, I would almost immediately desert. I remember... Like, whenever I'd see movies, like, holes would always make me really, like, anxious. Just thinking about that. What the fuck could I do, you know, in the military? Could you imagine, back in the day, they were like, if you're able-bodied and 16 years old, see ya. And then you're firstborn. Like, nowadays, people just sign up to serve out of nowhere and get nothing for it anyways. No, it's just voluntary. You don't even need to draft. You just need to have, like, your great-grandfather served, and you feel fucking compelled to just go give your life for people who will give you a temporary GI Bill that'll go away by the time you're smart enough to use it and by the time you recover enough. I had a buddy who was a real smart soldier, actually. He was in college with me, and I liked him a lot. I just never trusted him because, like, he always kind of wanted Molly. Just soldiers would always do this thing where they'd hear about Molly, and they'd be like, hey, man, you got any Molly? I'm trying to heal 30 years of PTSD. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't know. No one has enough Molly for you, dude. And so people would always be like, if you get pure MDMA, I'd love that shit. And it's always like, no, I can't find pure MDMA. What the fuck do I look like? Walter White? What the fuck are you talking about, pure MDMA? That shit would kill me. I'm fucking 135 pounds. The fuck? And and so at one point he was like, listen, man, I can figure out how to get you weed if you can get me some MDMA. And at that point I'm like, you're a cop. This sounds way too fire, you know? For me to just get you a little MDMA and for you to get me a bunch of fucking weed sounds way too fire. And somebody told me to watch out because they thought he was a cop. I was like, God, dude, that fucking sucks. Like, why do cops have to just be at college offering people drugs? Like, stop trying to, like, imagine being so undercover. He just 21, like, he's 21 Jump Street in my ass. I don't know. I just didn't seem worth it. That'd be super cool if I could see him again. He was a nice guy. The whole point of this was he had went over to like Afghanistan or something. And he had taught people how to harvest cider from like apples, I think is what it was. And he had told me about it and like showed me even a segment on it. But it was insane to think that there's just people across the world who now like have a whole income source because this man went over there and showed them like a certain like process that he didn't have to, something that they can use for years. It's just crazy because like that's a real ripple effect. That's a real man. That's somebody who you want to be, is the man who can change things in other countries for years to come as some lone wanderer, as some weird mysterious figure, you know? That's just so cool. That's a real legend, truly. Someone who's ascended above personhood. Speaking of suspicious cops, there's a great story from, I believe, the state of Idaho. Basically, so youth groups are famous for getting into other people's fucking business, and just doing whatever they want regardless of what people are comfortable with at the time. And so this youth group was going around leaving like notes, like happy thank you notes or whatever bullshit for some sort of drive, fund, whatever shit. And so basically they're going up to each door in the neighborhood and putting them on there. And this fucking cop comes out. He reads the thank you note and he goes, I imagine her name is Lucille. Lucille, get the gun. Get the gun. And so he tells her to get the gun. And he goes and he finds the people in the van. He goes, hey, you know, and he grabs the lady by her hair and drags her the fuck out. And I believe he put the gun to her head and goes, what the fuck are you doing? Or like, I'll fucking kill. No, I don't think he's threatening to kill her, but he's like, who do you know who the fuck I am? Who the fuck are you? Whatever, you know, something fun. Some fun movie line. And so it turns out, one, the people are friends, apparently. Like, they know each other from church or whatever. And it was a youth pastor. It was the youth pastor with the whole church, like a whole youth group of children. That this cop just pulled out of a fucking car, put a gun to his head. Like, you really do start to see the ball. Like, you really start to see a few teens see if they really accepted the Lord. You know? Where it's like, Nancy, I saw a little too much fear in your eyes whenever that guy pulled the gun. Stay after church with me. Okay? But now, as a former youth group member, and like it kind of fucked me up a little bit, they should be putting guns to their heads probably. They probably should, you know, at least give them a little bit of fear of God. You know, just make sure, you know, you're pledging your whole life to this for however. Give them a little, you know, what am I doing? You know, a little stop and start. You know, don't stop forever, but a little stop, start, stutter step. You know, just a wait. Where am I? What's happening? You know. Also, though, youth, like especially in church, are the most annoying type. They think they know everything. They think they have it figured out. They truly and literally think that they can talk to God and that no one else has figured it out yet. They truly believe that. And that's a problem when you're 15 and you think your cousin's a slut. You know? It's a real fucking issue. Okay? Because you're a fucking asshole because you think God made you not a slut. But he made her a slut. And you're the best. So, all these people are like holier than thou 15 to 18 year olds. The worst type. There's always one kid that like is looking like from afar, like he walks like this a little bit, and he always looks like he's gonna bite somebody. You know, those type of kids where they're like, you know, and you gotta watch them. You gotta watch them because they're gonna bite somebody. Maybe, I don't know if they've had a monster or two. There will always be. Yeah, and they just run everywhere. The youth group is just it's an annoying group of people. It's a bad time in their life that they are all forced to be at a church that they don't want to be at, so they're pretending to have fun. It was a large part of my life also. It's why it keeps coming up, but it is what it is. It's good to see that some youth groups are out there in the community acting on what they need to be, and it's good to see that other people are making sure they're about their shit. You know, whenever you see these cocky ass kids being like, well, Jesus said, you want to make sure that when the guns are out, they're still, well, Jesus said, you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure they're about their business. I get that. If they're going to be fucking annoying about it, you better be fucking annoying about it 24/7, all the time, guns in, guns out, you know? Poor kids. What a thing to pass down to your children. Christianity, you know, what a thing to pass down. A traumatic experience because some youth pastor decided that after dark hours were the best time to do activities with children. Imagine that. Imagine the other stuff you could pass down. For example, if I had a child, it would be 4 years old, and it would be like trying to find a way to get up to the top of the slide so it can tumble down face first and die. You know, if you're doing like fun, I'd pass down depression. You know, can you imagine? Like 30 years from now, it's gonna be like there's gonna be able to tell everything. So it'll be like this baby. It'll be like this baby. It seems is going to have Down syndrome, ma'am. We may just want to pass on this one, then. Yes, I know it's a hard decision, but no, that makes sense. Let's pass on it. Okay. So it looks like this one, yeah. Okay, this, no. Well, he's going to be a little bit sad forever and never feel fulfilled. Well, let's. No, I like that one. No, no, no. Let's pass. Let's put him with the Down syndrome one. That's what they would do. You know, that's what I. Because I'm the mom, and I would say that. Put him with the Down syndrome one. Okay. And they're like, this. You know. Then whatever the next one is, he's like, oh yeah, this one kind of sucks at math. And she's like, perfect. Put him in the basket. You know, or whatever shit. You know, just put him in my womb or whatever shit that Mickey Mouse mom says. You know. Or they're gonna be like, I'm gonna need to talk to you guys real quick. The pregnancy has been started, but there's a hidden gene we didn't see about it. And he's looking at him and like it's probably like a nice guy with like a polo shirt and like blue jeans and like a cross necklace on that's like right there, and he's got a Bible in his back pocket, and he's like, oh good golly sir, what could it be? Good golly sir, what could it be? Do me and my Debbie have a problem here with our little Louie? The name of the baby Louie. And all L names I don't know what to do. And so the doctor's like, it seems that it's inherited the slut gene. And he's like, now that just can't, goddamn, the slut gene, god damn it, you know. So well, who had that? Well, there were two. It appears two recessive slut genes, and it seems now it's expressing the slut trait. So, you know, they're gonna be like, throw with the sad and the dumb kid. No, throw with. Like bring back the first one. At least he's happy. Oh, fucking A. This will come back to haunt me. Now, yeah, I didn't have much else this week. It was a fucking rough week. It was really fucking hard. I've had my limits pushed. I am breaking. I am cracking. As all this truly is one long delve into whatever my life is, you know. But so basically, for about 5 years, I worked at a place seasonally, and we would do things at different places, various locations, and we'd have different operations that would move around. And one of the guys that I had worked with had passed. Man, and it was really hard, you know. There's a few things that made this guy special. There's some people that you do only get you only get one of, and that's one thing that this guy had, was that he was unique, and that's one thing that's dying in today's day and age. People don't have role models. People don't want to be a niche. People want to be the top thing on the market, the most big face on a billboard. They want to be everything. But this man, he cared a lot about being him, and he was really goddamn good at it. One thing about him was that he was never afraid to apologize. There was a few times that in your life you're gonna fuck up, and that's life. And one thing that he taught me was never be afraid to apologize, because all you're trying to do is get better. And he would. He was a man that could acknowledge on an honest and intellectual level what went wrong and what went right, and that's why he was how he was. That's why he had no bullshit. That's why he was happy with himself. I'd been in a lot of trouble. I've discussed this before, where I had been on probation. Fun fact, it's really fucking hard to get a job whenever you have a record. Especially whenever you're on any type of probation. It's a little bit easier than like than like not having probation, because probation is basically they're gonna drug test you anyways. You can share that with them. They're gonna be like, all right, he's gonna be clean for these 2 years so we can get him a job or whatever, you know. And so basically probation is their way of trying to eventually get you into jail and take more money from you in the long run, whatever. But it's supposed to be that they give you a chance, but it truly feels like shackles. But during that time that I was feeling like I was shackled, like I could not do anything, like I could not go anywhere, I could not legally cross state lines. There's a lot of things that stop me from doing. And I remember at one point I had to come clean with him. I can't remember what it was. Some shit had come up. I don't remember if it was somebody had seen something in the mail, if it was that the other co-owner had seen something or what. But I had talked to him, and I was like, hey, can I talk to you, man? So it was just he and I on a long ride home, and it was fucking A. It was an hour, probably at least, ride home. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I got caught selling weed. They took me to jail. They said they were going to take all my shit. And now I'm on probation for 2 years. And I lost my job at the other place. And that's what's going on. And so like sometimes I need a heads up on when we're heading here and all that stuff. And all he said was, he said, I've got friends like that. And it was okay. He was the first person that really treated me like an adult. And you don't forget that, you know? Somebody who lets you define like your own boundaries. We would go out and I'd sneak a beer. I'd have a drink. And I'd do some stuff. I wasn't necessarily old enough to, but no one would really see me. But there'd be time that like if he did see me, like he wouldn't care because he let me define my own boundaries. He knew that I would deal with the consequences of whatever happened, and that if something bad happened, I would deal with it differently next time. He let me be a man. He also welcomed me onto a team of a lot of guys that I wouldn't have known anyways. I wouldn't have. They wouldn't have known me, and he just really brought people together, and he really helped me with a lot of things. And as life went on, I had to do more. I had to do different stuff. I couldn't work 40 hours a week. Well, that's wrong. I could work 40 hours a week. I had one job at a shitty sandwich shop, and I couldn't work the 40. I would fucking think about killing myself. I would literally be sitting there with a knife, and I'd be like, if I stab myself, it's over now, you know? like I'd be like, I have to leave if I stab myself. And so I couldn't do it. I wasn't mentally well enough. But at that job, I could work to 40. I could work. I'd work even more. There were times I worked 24 hours in 2 days, and I felt good about it. I didn't feel shitty at all. And part of that is because of the people you're working with, and the people you're working for, and knowing people have your back. And that man did. Rest up, Mike. Love you, man. Now, on another note, it's Christmas coming up. There's a lot, going on for that. My girl and I, we went and looked at some Christmas lights today, and they were beautiful. Christmas lights are hilarious. They're also very odd. It's slightly it's slightly dystopian at times. There's like there's like lights up everywhere, and then like right next to it will be like a shut down house that's like terrible, or like you'll go to these big beautiful places that have like these very extravagant light shows that are like from here left to right, like music's playing and they're like fluttering to the beat or whatever, you know. And then and then other places you'll go in and it will just be like somebody's collection of like blow up lawn ornaments that they're just trying to fit as many as they can on Christmas, and it's just like you can tell that they were trying to be somebody else and they've just like spiraled to dementia and like however many Frosty the Snowmans they can fit in their front yard. It is a fun thing, but it is a weird person. It is a weird person that puts out all the goddamn inflatables and light ups and shit. It's fun. I think it'll be an old tradition soon. I think people will start blaming that stuff for global warming, start shaming shit like that. I imagine that'll be relatively soon. Just because, like, they're going to start being like, do your part. It's not everyone else that's... it's not every other big company that's causing global warming. It's you, Sally. The other day, I literally looked up to the sky and I said, if there is something for me to learn, if there is something for me to do, if there is something that will make my life better, please show me what it is. I've been looking at YouTube videos, I've been looking online, I've been trying to be open-minded about like listening to things that people talk to me about and shit. And then yesterday, we have a person that I see at my work. They had called, and they're like, "Hey, I got chocolate cake or peanut butter cookies. What do you guys want?" And I was like, "Peanut butter cookies all day." They're like, "They'll be out soon. I'll see you there." So I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" So this little older lady brings in some fucking peanut butter cookies. I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And she brings in a bunch of gifts for every single person there. And she brought this one to me. It was The Spirit of Tokayo, Ancient Insights for a New Age by Stephen R. Gottry and Richard A. Jacobson. It doesn't have a copyright year, so I'll be very interested to see. It's spirituality and fiction. I'm not sure what it's about. It's about a divorcee that's 30 years old. I don't know what it's going to teach me, but once I find it, I'll teach it to you guys. But that lady brought that in for me. And so like just the same way as like just brought in a bunch of cookies and stuff, like it just genuinely brightened my day. It brightened my day. It was one of the first good things I had seen for a long time. And she did that. She just passed that forward. Maybe she just had that at her house. Maybe she saw it somewhere and it reminded her of me. Maybe somebody gave it to her 3 years ago and she's like, I really need to get rid of this. Who knows? But for whatever reason, she gave it to me. And now I'm thinking, maybe it's got some lesson there. I know that the universe is going to make the lesson that the guy's gay at the end or something. I know. I know that I'll get to the last chapter of this book in respect to this man, and then the last chapter will be 8 pages of him sucking cock in detail. It'll be like walking in on your dad sucking dick. Who knows, but it looks fun. But it's just like, there's a guy who's 30. Everything in his life is lacking. What'll happen? And it's going to be spirituality and fiction. So, like, who knows? He's probably going to take some, like, ayahuasca or whatever in the woods. Or some fucking peyote or some shit. I'm with it. I'll read it. I would like some psychedelic action in this little Spirit of Takayo. I was hoping it's a little more real, but I don't know. Maybe I'll pretend it's real when I'm reading it, so whatever happens, it's even cooler. You know, I'll just turn it into real life. Start telling people that it's real. People believe me. You can just lie to people. No one will ever stop you. Half the people that you see, no one will ever question it again. I mean, sure, you could lie about stupid stuff, but you could also lie about stuff that's really funny. Stuff that's really funny. You know? Stuff that no one will ever question again. Stuff about the subway down the street. Stuff about, I mean, like, you know how back in the day, your dad would be like, oh yeah, Elmer Fudd's actually the gay Looney Tune, and that's why his ass is always in the air like that. He's actually secretly gay. And like your dad would just tell you people were gay, and you'd be like, that's crazy. And you just assume for the rest of your life people were gay. Like, John Travolta fucks guys. And you'd be like, I didn't know that, Dad. How do you know that? You know, like, it'd be crazy that your dad would know like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and like how much he can lift. You know, it was insane. But I mean, there was another, like, for, like, and I mean, you can even keep up the con for a long time, but there's certain people you shouldn't lie to. Like, for example, my mother I would ask her math problems, and I remember, like, being like, what's this number times this number? And it would be impossibly big numbers. The answer is to tell me that that's a dumb question and you shouldn't ask that. But instead, she would make up different numbers that were like 8 numbers long. I don't know those aren't right. Okay? So now, while my mother is saying 53,624, and she's just exercising her like knowledge of the decimal system, the integer system, okay, I am telling kids at school that my mother can solve math problems that are 4-digit multipliers each. Nobody believes that. And then they see my mother, and then no one else believes it again. She's not stupid, but she doesn't have that look to her. I look more artistic than her. She doesn't have that look to her. She doesn't look built for multiplication. You get what I'm saying, okay? Slate, I'm trying to get this out here for you. I love you guys. I love this. You know, this is what I'm supposed to do. I think maybe I'll die. Maybe none of this will make out. Maybe this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm fucking delirious. I'm tired. I love you guys. I appreciate you listening. I hope there was something good in here this week. Thanks for being here, dummies.